Hello everybody and welcome back to Elderberry Sprout. Today I wanted to share with you 8 different ways that you can hide the truth in your grimoire. So before we dive into the examples, I wanted to talk a little bit about why you might want to hide the truth in your grimoire. Perhaps you're the type of person who has all of your magical learnings in one book and you don't want to divide it in between your personal things and your maybe the lessons that you've learned. So you want to keep your extremely personal stuff in your grimoire as well. So if that's the case, you might want to hide your personal information or maybe some really deep shadow work that you're still working yourself through. You might also want to have things that maybe other people would find problematic in there. Like through shadow work, you might uncover some things that you want to work through, and you want to be sensitive to others by, if you do share on the internet or, on Instagram or whatever, you might want to be sensitive to others and have some of that information hidden so it's not triggering to others. So there's a lot of different ways that you can hide that information. And the main factor you want to think about when deciding which style of hiding you want to implement is, do you want to reference this information yourself? And how frequently? So if you have no need to actually look at the words and reread them, then there's a whole different set of options for you. If you do need to reference that information, you need to make sure that the way that you hide it is a way that you can access it in the future. You don't need to tear your entire book apart to find that secret information, right? The first example of me hiding information in this grimoire, which you can't see, is because it's in the spine. So when I was constructing this book, I wrote an incantation in the spine of the book itself. So that's something I can't read, but I know that it's there, so it still holds its magic, right? So that's holding an intention, information of some sort, and nobody can read it or access it, so it's definitely hidden in there, and I'm the only person who knows what it says. So that's like the first example before even getting into the book. So let's see, I have a couple pages here. So here's another page that I've encoded or hidden a lot of information in, and that is that I wrote on this whole page here. So once I kind of got that energy out on the page, I knew I wouldn't need to reference it. So I wanted to have a kind of visual representation of the feeling that went into this page. So I collaged on top of it with something that I thought matched the energy of the intention going into it, without perhaps the personal detail, right? So I just glued this straight on top. Another example of something like this that you could do would be to paint over a page after you write on it. You could glue 2 pages straight together and just know in between those pages that there's a whole secret story in between it. There are so many different ways that you can just completely hide or enclose information or intention into your book or a certain page. So I know what's here, and all you see is a beautiful garden. Mission accomplished. Let's tuck that back in there. So the first page I have here is a natal chart, so you might want to hide your birthday. So here I just have a little piece of paper that's tacked on each side with a little bit of glue. I know when my birthday is, but I might forget what time I'm born at, so I can always scooch it over to peek underneath that little part. But that way you guys don't necessarily know my birthday, but I still have access to that information. Oh, here we go. So this one is a lot more hidden. This one, there's a couple of layers of what you could do here. So this is kind of a declaration to myself, and I like to reference this once every 6 months or so. And there's a string that ties it closed, and it looks like a scroll. It's a pretty cool thing. But since I do like to reference it, I have a string on it. However, if it was something that I didn't need to reference, you could pour a wax seal on the center of the string, which I think would just look amazing and add a super magical, sealed, I don't know, kind of antique magical energy to it. So because I do reference it, I don't have a seal on it. There's actually a seal on the page itself once I open it up, but I do reference that, so. And most of these things so far are not things that I would be bothered if people in my life found my book and looked at it. However, this next page is one that I don't think I'd really want anyone to look at because it's personally, I've been recently changing my style of grimoiring, I guess, or magical journaling, I guess you could call it, where I am putting more of my my actual evolutionary process into my grimoire as kind of like a therapeutic art process with words. So I'm actually journaling a little bit about it or having a list about something. So for here, this is a spread that I've been using for my triggers. So whenever I get triggered, if it's something consistent that I've seen over time, I will put it on the page underneath here. But yeah, so you can kind of tell here, that's when I'm a little maybe angry or yeah, irritable or something. So on this page here, there be inner demons in these woods. Proceed with caution and permission. E.S. Be careful what you wish for, you might just get it. So this is kind of like a warning to whoever might want to open this page to say, hey, better be careful, you don't know what's in here. And I even have my little owl say, be careful, I mean, hoot hoot. Oh, it's good to have cheesy, childlike jokes, right? But anyway, so what I'm going to do once I finish this page, because I'm still like in the process of working on it, is I'm going to put either a brad through the page and then have it splayed here so that somebody would have to actively open the brad, pull the page off, or something to that effect, where there's like a deliberate action to open the page itself after they clearly saw this like warning, like don't look at this, you might be scared, you know, whatever it might be. So having a warning is definitely a good way to do that. And see, this is something I would like to reference in case I'm like, why am I feeling so bad? Oh, duh, I was triggered. So I can like look at my list of triggers. But if it's something that perhaps you wouldn't need to read frequently, you could add another layer of, I guess, hiding to this particular spread by encoding the words in some type of other language or perhaps a magical alphabet. So if you become frequent in a certain type of alphabet, then you can just encode it all and you'd still be able to read it and nobody else would, unless they know that alphabet or they have a key and they're willing to spend the time to decode it. And oftentimes that's enough of a step to deter people from looking any further, right? So anyway, still working on that one, but this is honestly, this is the spread that gave me the idea of how I could share these different ideas with you guys. Let's see. So, here is an example of me hiding the astral adventures I want to have. So some of those are kind of personal, and I don't necessarily want to share that with the rest of the internet. So I have that in there, and I can still, because it's closed with washi tape, I can still access it and write new ideas in there whenever I need to. And that's all just tucked inside this little pocket. So it's like a little envelope letter inside of a pocket. So, so this spread, this is a little envelope, and so this would be an example of if there's recipes that you like to reference and you pull them out of your grimoire, you can have them inside of an envelope like this. And maybe they're recipes that have ingredients that not everybody would be comfortable using. So to be sensitive to others without having your, you know, super witchy ancient recipes out and about, you can hide them inside of here. That way you can reference them, you know they're in there, and if somebody does want to dive, you know that they're taking that extra action. Where it's like, oh, well, hey, you took it out of the envelope, so you kind of, what you get is what you get, right? So anyway, that's what I have there. So here, oh yeah, by the way, I'm using old incense boxes as my bookmarks. I really love that because they smell, they smell so good. Let's scooch those over here. So in this page, I have a flip out. So I don't share this last part of the flip out, but I could if I really wanted to, so that's just for filming purposes. So you see I have one flip out, all of this can be shared, but then it's this last page over here that I don't really want to share. So that is the part that goes off camera. So that's just kind of, for me, that's really helpful. I can still access it frequently. Whenever I make a new semi-private sigil, I can put it on that page. It's not hard to find. It's easy in there. Another thing you could do is tie a little string right here and anchor it to this part of the page, and then you tie it, and then you would untie it when you need to access it, and that way the page won't accidentally like flop open at any point. Oh, and here's one. Okay, so I really like this style. For me, like this is a page, I think I did actually share what's on this page, which is different boundaries I have. Personally, I've been working on my boundaries and having those healthy boundaries. If you're empathic, you might have a little bit of a personal experience with that as well. This is just a piece of, let me see, I'll get this page out. So this is a piece of pretty thick card where I have washi taped on a piece of tissue paper. So this tissue paper I stamped on with black ink. And with something like this is just an example where I can move this and put it on whatever page I want to. So it's kind of like a thing that I can take out. But you could very easily just glue along the top of a page and just put this on top of a page to keep it slightly shrouded. You could do this with tissue paper, you could do it with vellum and maybe have a protective sigil on the front of it. You could do it with lace even, if you have like a dark lace or a netting, you could glue that at the top or even make the same type of like removable shroud. And I do call this my like page shroud. Sometimes what I'll do, let's see if I can go to it. Here we go. So sometimes when it is Yule and I have my Yule page open, I don't really want to see a skeleton and Samhain. I'm already having enough inner darkness. I don't need to be reminded of external darkness. So I will put this shroud on top of that. So you can see it's still there, but the focus is definitely more on the Yuletide page, right? So that's just another example of using that shroud in a different location for a different purpose. But there we have it. That is a whole bunch of different ways that you can hide information inside of your grimoire, whether you want other people to see it or you just want you to be able to see it, or even you just want to know it's there. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I hope this helped you find some inspiration to really dive deep into yourself this winter. See if there's any things you want to work on. Maybe not New Year's resolutions, but things you want to embody in this coming year and in the springtime. I hope these magical hiding systems can help you to dive deep and do some creative journaling to figure out yourself a little bit better. So thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a magical day. Bye.